you very much for joining us on this panel. I'm the moderator, Vivienne Chow. I'm an art writer. So today's discussion topic, what do NFTs mean for the art world? Very delighted to have a distinguished panel. So just a quick round of introduction. Ladies first, Dr. Henrietta Tsui-Leung, co-founder of Ora-Ora. Dr. Tsui-Leung is one of the most prominent gallerists here in Hong Kong, and her gallery Ora-Ora has recently launched a marketplace on OpenSea and introduced NFT artworks at Basel, Hong Kong. And the gallery was also the first to announce the acceptance of cryptocurrency at the fair. And then next we have Max Moore, who's just been recently appointed as the head of contemporary art sales Asia Sotheby's. But Max, now you're still in New York, right? And yeah. So Max will soon be moving to Hong Kong, and he's most recently spearheaded the sale of the fungible collection by PAC. And I'm sure after you move to Asia, NFT will still be a part of an important part of your portfolio. And last but not least, we have Rabbit, who's the founder of Perception. I'm very curious of what you do because Rabbit is an expert in NFTs, and he's done this amazing technology development called desktop AR, and I'm sure we'll get into that. So first of all, I would like to ask each panelist one question, and then we'll move on to a group discussion. So I hope everyone is happy with this arrangement. So first of all, I would like to ask Henrietta. And so I'm now in Hong Kong, just like you, and we have just been, we've just experienced Art Basel, and it's the first time that the fair took place, finally in a physical setting since 2019. And I'm just really curious because you showed NFT works at the fair, and what was the experience like for you, and how did people react to it? And also, how do you think NFT as a medium help or promote the artists that you have already been working with for many years?
Thank you, Vivienne, and welcome everyone to the summit. I'm very pleased to be part of this panel. I would like to discuss a lot with you, but given time, I would share, I guess, some highlights of it. Okay, so NFT has been hyped for the past few months, but in fact, for the gallery and for our artists, we have been looking at it and the potential of it for almost over a year. Initially, it was about how to use blockchain technology in authentication and in terms of perhaps authenticating and creating unique pieces in new media art. So it had been like a roller coaster ride, and we were very excited that we managed as a small gallery to launch NFTs at Art Basel, Hong Kong. Of course, the impact was quite interesting. The fact that we were one of the first galleries to showcase such art in a very traditional, world-renowned art fair. From curation or design or planning of artists, it took us a while to consider. Knowing that there were amazing world records through the amazing auction house, which Max was involved in as well, we had to think of a strategy. What kind of strategy should we pursue? Should we also try to make huge record, or what should we be doing? So we took at the end an approach more of a sustainable and hopefully a sustainable and very welcoming approach, and we decided to launch 4 NFTs by 2 artists. We're probably the first to launch a Chinese artist artwork in Art Basel, Peng Jian, and another artist from Macau, one of our own very Macau, Hong Kong artists. So basically, we decided to extend the existing practice of these artists into the NFT world. So for Cindy, she has been an amazing media artist with immersive experiential art experience and hundreds of museum shows. And we basically just help her list her works. And for Peng Jian, he is a painter, very well known, very well received artist in Art Basel throughout the years. And this time we kind of launched a video piece adapted from his painting. So it turned out to be a session like at the fair, a lot to do with troubleshooting 101, how to open a wallet, where can we store these things, some very technical questions, which I cannot answer you now, but we did not just let OpenSea mint our work, but we actually have an IT company, a fintech company behind us, a huge tech team, which helped us solve a lot of problems. And then we created a marketplace. So we were so pleased that this company located in Science Park was all behind us the whole time, answering all these questions. So personally, I find this a very rewarding experience. We actually sold one of the 4 pieces at a very funny price. As you know, when we launched, as we priced our work at the reserve price at the auction, Ethereum was at about 3,900. But by the time Art Basel closed, it went down to 2,300. So this intrinsic fall seriously gave our sales team and myself some pitch that, you buy it instantly, you got like 30-something% off. But joking aside, I do really ponder on this point now, whether we should actually price our work in Ethereum, or we should, honestly, at the beginning, I didn't understand why Christie's and Sotheby's were not using cryptocurrency to transact, but the fiat. But now, okay, I got it. There must be something we have to consider further. Yeah.
Cool. I think that it was a really interesting experience. This year's Art Basel, not just Ora-Ora, but other galleries and other booths. They were also either showcasing NFT works, or they have started accepting cryptocurrency. I think this will likely be a transformative change to the art world, which has, I think, for a very long time been known for not very adaptive to new technology, but this obviously has changed. And I think we can ask Max about this. I think this year, obviously, NFT has been so much in the media, in a hype, thanks to the auctions, really, because not just because of the price, but then it has created, it has generated, a lot of attention, and people who previously were not familiar with this medium or cryptocurrency or blockchain, and suddenly, this is real. And so I'm very curious to hear what Max, what Max can tell us about this change. I think especially for you, you have done this significant sale of the fungible collection by pack, and then this week there's also another sale coming up at Sotheby's that's natively digital. I think it's having an exhibition here in Hong Kong. So Max, so how has it been like for you?
Yeah, well, again, thank you, Vivienne, for organizing this, and it's a pleasure to be sharing the stage with everyone here. During the pandemic, I was working on a few contemporary art sales at Sotheby's, specifically online sales, and a friend turned me on to Nifty Gateway, which was one of the prominent marketplaces for NFT transactions. And at the time, I was quite skeptical just because I didn't have that initial reaction that I would with a painting or a physical object. That barrier between, you know, the screen and myself to present the artwork was still very much a barrier for me. But quickly I started connecting and immersing myself with some of the collectors, some of the artists, such as Pak, and I began to realize, even if I may have not had that initial gut reaction of, wow, this is a fantastic work of art, there were a huge audience that were having that exact reaction. And it wasn't my place to say, well, this can't be, you know, on a Sotheby's auction or of that caliber, because I'm not having that reaction at that point, because all of these other individuals are. So, you know, I then began discussing with Pak a little bit, and that's when I really had a light bulb moment where I start to realize there's a real genius, there's real creative potential behind this medium, and that NFTs and digital art just are an extensively a new medium to explore for an artist or for a creative. The Pak sale that we organized together came up, you know, after 2 months of planning, and I got a little in-depth analysis of who Pak was, even though I don't know who they actually are, but, you know, reference to their previous work, and how this body of work sits within the, you know, their entire oeuvre, so to speak, and creation style. And so the fungible collection was Sotheby's first NFT sale. There was a lot of work in the back end, as Henrietta mentioned, a lot of like tech. We hired a marketing team. We hired outside legal counsel, because we were applying the same standards that we would in any traditional auction in terms of, you know, KYC procedures, which was a little bit new and foreign to a lot of the marketplaces that were already in existence. So when Sotheby's, you know, ventured in, we came with a lot of requirements or baggage, if you will, that were needed to be satisfied for us to host and hold these auctions. But after we kind of got through the issues, we hosted a sale that included an open edition, which I felt very important to understand just how large the community and the buyer pool was. And we ended up having over 3,000 unique buyers, with a total sale price of around $17 million, which was really fantastic to see. Now, you know, fast forward to our next sale, Natively Digital, which is live now, which is a completely different look and feel. It has 28 artists that are featured, only one of one unique works, similar to what Henrietta was mentioning, bringing, you know, specific works to Art Basel. So one work, one buyer ultimately. And this platform that we provided the artist was just present yourself in one work. And now we have artists that range in price range, in sex, in orientation, in style. We really wanted to curate and educate with this sale, and really bring in some of the more traditional collectors that are still, I would say, a little bit hesitant to get involved with NFTs, or, you know, maybe not, don't find it of interest, essentially. What we did see in the fungible collection was it was a much younger demographic of collectors, primarily new to Sotheby's, and but completely interested and immersed in, you know, digital and NFT art, but may have never thought to look at Sotheby's for a physical object before. And that was really interesting to see. So you have a new artist pool, a new, you know, creative thought process, a new medium, and then of course, you know, a new collector base responding to a new aesthetic. So it's all very new, you know, and exciting for myself, for Sotheby's, but it's really what I see the potential in is not just converting traditional collectors into this new medium, but really exploring an entirely new ecosystem, so to speak, that's self-sufficient, self-reliant on their own needs, and really understands kind of the processes of and the capabilities of digital art, and really responds to, you know, the intricacies and the beauty behind it. And that may not always be just visual, which sometimes is corresponding to a traditional collector. So for me, for example, I really like, artists that are really pushing the boundaries of the smart contract, are really understanding what possibilities they have at their fingertips and how they can really change and alter one's perception, not just visually, but conceptually. And so I would liken that more to a conceptual artist or a digital artist within the canon of art history, which may not have as much of a market presence as your, purely visual artists, so to speak, but are really asking questions that have never been asked before. And I think natively digital, really speaks to, a wide range of artists that are asking the right questions. And then my one thought about the cryptocurrency that Henrietta was mentioning, for me, I think it's important that it's bound, or I would say like it responds to cryptocurrency, but I think the valuation of an artwork should be assigned just a value and shouldn't have to fluctuate based on the fluctuations of a cryptocurrency. I think it's unfair for an artist and their work to succumb to the fluctuations of a cryptocurrency. It's, if you bought one thing, it should go up in value based on the artist's merit, based on the collection, based on the marketplace, not just because Ethereum has doubled over a 2-week period. It's unfair to ask artists to continue that trajectory. So I think that's a nice understanding, or a global understanding, that we should try to achieve to help these artists and their markets grow in a more organic way.
Great. Thank you very much, Max. And that was really interesting, and also good to hear. Glad to hear that there are actually people and new people who are buying, because artists really do need that kind of support. And moving on to Rabbit. So you can I say that you're a tech guy? Because you've done that. I've seen some of the clips that you of the desktop AR technologies that you have developed, and I think that's amazing, and that would create a lot of great, I think, accessible learning opportunities for young people, for kids, to be able to see art that they might not be able to see otherwise. And what about NFTs, and how do you think NFTs, AR, VR, how do they work together?
Thank you, and it's very nice to be here, and thank you for having me. So my background is in the software engineering and computer science. Perhaps we can look at the combination of NFT and AR, VR in 3 different steps. Well, let's first talk about how the current art industry is working with NFT right now, and what are the stage of the VR and AR technologies currently, and we can further see how we can bring both, the best of the both worlds together and create something new. So if you look at the current art and NFT synergies that we have going on, we can see that most of the arts are basically, most of them are digital arts, and many of the artists are new artists. And we see wonderful artists like Vivo selling his art for many millions of dollars and becomes one of the most valued artists in the world right now. However, if you look at the overall art market, we can see that there are traditional art as well. But when we talk about art, it doesn't necessarily means new art. It can also be old arts, like historical artifacts, things that represent our human history. So items like the statue of Asian dragons or a Buddha image, something of that kind can also be an art that has not been tapped with NFT yet. And that is mainly because most of the NFT art are limited into 2-dimensional space. At the same time, we have this VR, virtual reality, and AR, augmented reality, as well as mixed reality. That's have the goal of making digital contents and make it real in a physical environment, to take it out of the screen. So with that, we can see that device like Oculus VR headsets or Microsoft HoloLens, the mixed reality glasses, are used to bring this kind of content to life. However, one of the key barriers for this technology is that the price. Only a handful of people would be able to afford headsets. So with that, which means that there's going to only be a handful of people can enjoy holographic art or artificial holographic contents with this device. So with this, there is an opportunity here. There's a gap on how can we bring use VR and AR tech and to include these other kind of arts, human historical artifacts into NFT. So with that is what we are working on, which is a new kind of augmented reality tech, desktop AR. So how desktop AR works is quite simple. We just use normal computers, but to create that illusion of hologram or holographic experience, the system, the computer software actually tracks where you are looking from. And as you're, wherever you're looking at your screen, the system tries to render pictures that match your perspective. Now, combine that with the stereo 3D image, as you might get from red and blue glasses here, combine of head tracking and 3D, that's create the illusion of holograms to the end user. So with this, we can create a new kind of arts. So basically we can, for example, we can take a sculpture and we can do a 3D reconstruction of that sculpture. And then we can put it in a holographic environment, which we call holo NFT. And then we can sell it. So once this becomes, once we combine both AR, desktop AR and NFTs together, so many new potentials emerges. For example, instead of just buying art, we now can own a piece of human history, such as like mummies, or we can own a piece of World Heritage sites like the Eiffel Tower or a piece of wall of China. So it's becoming a tool that we can collect and also at the same time preserve our human history as well. So that is what I'm seeing, that what can be, what can become a new step of NFT by bringing both VR and AR technologies together. So with that, this is one of the key things that at our Morpheus project, we are heavily working on. So we are working heavily with museums from around the world and helping them to get across into the NFT space. Because at the same time, all these art galleries and museums, they are actually facing a lot of impact from COVID. With COVID, I believe UN has reported that revenue of museum has dropped by more than 80%. And so many of them, almost half of them is facing closure this year, just because the number of visitors has dropped to virtually zero. So with this holographic NFT, we cannot just own, but we can also be a part of that movement to help museums preserve and as well as collecting these wonderful historical artifacts and human legacy. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Robert. I think that is fascinating because that reminds me of one of the NFT works I saw at Art Basel in Hong Kong. That was presented by Andy Hay, the Chinese antique dealer, and he's venturing also into NFT, and then he made this an ancient dagger from maybe Qing Dynasty or from the warring state period, and then to make it an NFT. But then it only existed on the screen, as a 2D image, but not a holo image. But then that, I mean, what you just said now, Rabbit, that makes me think of, that could be a possibility, especially for that kind of work. So that is really fascinating. And moving on, we're gonna have a quick group discussion. I think one of the many, a lot of people have a lot to say, about NFTs, of course. But then I've also heard from other artists, from like podcasts that I've listened to. I think people are quite concerned about the market. I think on one hand, I think it's encouraging because some artists who never had the opportunity to maybe work with a gallery or find channels to sell the work, this is a huge opportunity for them, not just for visual artists, but also for musicians. I've spoken to Han Jin Tan, a Singaporean Chinese musician based in Hong Kong. He just launched his NFT as well, and he's been selling very well. He made $1 million Hong Kong dollars just in 1 minute, and I think that is one piece of encouraging news. But then people are also concerned how the market players like auction houses, galleries, still coming into this field. How is it going to change the market, and or it's actually, or this is necessary to have galleries and auction houses coming in to take part in this NFT development. So
yeah, I'll jump in. I'll start it off, I would say, given I'm the auction house. So what I would say is that the market for NFTs has been basically squished or truncated into from maybe 5 years into 5 months right now is what we're seeing, which is essential to the reason why we're having a discussion on what's the topic. What's the title of this chat? Why NFTs are changing the art market. Essentially, there's a global collective. I'm in New York. You're in Hong Kong. Everyone is talking about NFTs. So the marketing aspect has broken through, and it's become a disruptive nature, a disruptive force. Now, in order to do that, there had to be some headlines about some major prices and some overall, initial kind of response in terms of, financial spending power, which we all knew was going to subside as a somewhat speculative bubble. It's just, a healthy market correcting itself in some respects. Now, what you're going to see happening, and I think it's already sliding with the crypto market, but even before that, there was already a lot of people that were just trying to flip and taking it at a loss. You're going to start to see the flippers who were in it exclusively to make a quick buck. They probably were only following the artist because they were told to do so. Followers, not collectors, will exit the marketplace because they've gotten a slap on the wrist or they've lost some money. Some artists who dub themselves NFT creators because of the ease at which to create an NFT are now at a loss because of the high minting fees and gas fees, will exit the space. And what you're going to be left with is the true like bare bones or the true ecosystem of what still exists. And that would be, the real artists that are pushing the boundaries and the real collectors that are in it to create and form relationships with the artists and to have those artists grow and have their collection grow, but understand that it could take a few years or 10 years even. It follows the same principles of any sort of collectorship with scarcity and rarity for a market. Same thing with the art market can apply here. It's just we've seen such an accelerated growth, and now if we can't sustain that, everyone says, oh well, the market's collapsed basically, and it hasn't. It's actually just starting basically. In my opinion, I really do think that the foundations have been laid, the discussion has been set, and now we are presenting. And that's why at Sotheby's, this is our second sale. We're not overloading ourselves with different projects. I've probably turned down 95% of the opportunities that are presented to me because I recognize the importance that Sotheby's or an auction house with a global platform brings to the discussion. And I want to make sure that we are educating and presenting the right works to allow for a healthy and organic growth of the overall market. Because in the end of the day, everyone benefits as, with a healthy and organic marketplace. So that's how I've been perceiving, and that's how I've been trying to, target any opportunities that come my way.
I would like to share also. I see at least 3 areas of opportunities after my year-long experience as a user and as a marketing kind of person. One area is that we are a gallery that always look for talent and always want to bring Asian artists to the world. And we have started. And with the experience, I see that like it really takes personal experience, working through the problems, working through the contracts, and even discovering what platforms and marketplaces would be good for yourself or as an artist, and whether one wants to go with a gallery or want to go with their own or go with an auction house is another thing. But definitely, I see this as a sustainable and very safe and authenticated means to market new media artists. And this area is one of the areas that I'm super proud of in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong has a lot of amazing new media artists. Secondly, we are, as a gallery, Ora-Ora always want to look after all kinds of collectors. Similar to Sotheby's, like how Max has explained, we have been able to reach so many new talent and new collectors at Art Basel, like people in the 20s, from all walks of life and different nationalities. And I see this as a very wonderful opportunity for us to reach out to the new target level of collectors, and new or old. And then the third thing is, given my experience with even studying different platforms using OpenSea, it is definitely less than ideal. Nothing that I have looked at is optimal. I think the user experience is poor. I think there is a lot of opportunity for people in marketing, in user interface, tech guys in user interface, to become a nice bridge between the tech people and the actual market need. Ora-Ora is fine, but we're a gallery, we focus in art, but I see a lot of gaps that can be filled. So in these 3 areas, I think there are a lot of opportunities for people to join.
If I may chip in a little bit, as you know, NFT is pretty much a new frontier, and it's basically a wild west. And so, as a academic and scientist, I look back into the past data, and what we can see with in the scientific communities is that there are 2 things, right? The first one is the rate of technology adoption. So for the past 200 years, that has been increased drastically. For example, it takes us about. It takes out about. There was a. Am I back?
I think you're back. Yeah, that was a little bit over. Yeah, sorry. Could you start over again?
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. So as a researcher and scientist, I looking back to, I'll go back to the scientific data and evidence on what we had in the past. There are 2 things that we can take a look. So the first thing is that the rate of the technology adoption, and that has been increased drastically in the past couple of 100 years. For example, with the cars, it takes us about 50 to 70 years for everyone in the world to widely adopt the car technology, whereas the mobile telephones take us around 20 to 30 years, and social medias take us about 10 years or less now. So with NFTs, now that the technology adoption has going up drastically, I'm trying to understand the concern, and whether this is going to be another bubble that bursts or not. But if we are looking at the bubble and we are looking at how hype occurred in other technologies, well, data has shown that there are a trend in every technologies, and that trend is called Gartner hype cycle. So basically, in every technology, it will go up and down, but eventually it will subside and go back up again. And this is the same thing for all the technologies. But the most important thing is that at the point of a technology become ubiquitous, becomes a part of our everyday life, we'll see that even at that point, it is much higher than the point when the technology were at the highest peak during the hype. So regardless, so my intake would be, regardless whether this is a bubble or not, well, NFT and other crypto tech are here to stay. and they have proven themselves to be a part of our society, and they have these incredible opportunities to change how we operate as a social community. So I'm very positive, and regardless, things gonna turn out for the best for NFT, and that's my take. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, everyone. We are running out of time, but if does anyone have an additional? I wish we had more time because there's so much to talk about in this topic, and hopefully we'll have another opportunity. But just does anyone have any one last remark that you would like to share with the audience?
Looking forward to coming to Hong Kong.
Looking forward to meeting you in person.
Yeah, exactly. Never been.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing like better interfaces and having easier and smoother operations for just average people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I'm looking for various collectors and various new artists to join the Holo NFT fray. I think there are so much opportunities ahead for both digital art as well as traditional and historical artifacts.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time to take part in this panel discussion. And for those who are listening, please follow our speakers on socials. I'm sure you can find them. And I look forward to seeing all of you soon. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.